3, 2, 1. Lift off. This is the Colin River Show. Just right behind enemy lines. And today, we're not in London. We're not in Los Angeles, California. We're not in Spain. We are traveling to Arizona. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have on our show La Creme de la Creme. Like somebody said once, not the foremost authority, but probably the godfather of secret societies, the research. Mr. Jordan Maxwell will be on the show in 1 minute. And I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone from everywhere. From the Rio Bravo to California, to New York, Texas, from all around the world. From Barcelona to Paris, and from Paris to Frankfurt, and from Frankfurt to Boston. And as usual, we're gonna get on things here. Let me see if we're showing up. Things are getting hot, getting hotter and hotter with impeachment, but today we're not gonna talk about politics. Today we're gonna talk about the voltage.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
At the end of the line there, we're gonna say hi to Jordan. Jordan, can you hear us? Hello.
Yes, I can, and I hope you can hear me.
Everything okay? Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. And, you know, we're starting here. We're talking just right off mic about your dear friend, Roger Lear and alien implants.
Yeah,
What can
Dr.
you tell us
Roger
about
Lear.
that?
Yes. Dr. Roger Lear was without a doubt one of my best friends I ever had in this world, and I miss him so very much today. When he passed away a few years ago, I think of him every day. We were so close, and I learned so much from Dr. Lear. He was the man who was famous for taking alien implants out of humans. If you hurt yourself, if you broke your arm or sprained your wrist or something, you go in, you have an x-ray, and when you have an x-ray, on the x-ray would show a little piece of metal inside your arm, a little piece of metal inside the arm, or inside your hand. On the back of your hand was a little piece of metal inside your hand, or on your foot. When people would go to have an x-ray of some part of their body and it would show that it was a little piece of metal on the inside of your body, but the
Wow.
body wasn't reacting to it. It didn't infest at all. It didn't react to it, and therefore you never knew that there was a little piece of metal inside of your body. And so when you find out that there's a piece of metal, they would call Dr. Roger Lear. Dr. Lear would
Hmm.
go in and he would take pictures of it and do the study of it and see what it is. And then he would get your permission and he would go in and operate. If you want, he'd go in and operate on you, cut it open and go down, take that piece of metal out, and then find out that that piece of metal was actually beeping. It was making a sound as beeping. It was an electrical unit, some kind of an electrical little diode that was beeping. And so, but it was connected in your body to your nerve ending. It was an electrical unit, a little tiny little electrical beeper. But it worked on the electricity. So the way that it worked is that whoever put this little beeper inside of you, inside your hand, your arm, your leg, your foot, whatever it was, whoever put this in you, there's the picture of Dr. Lear,
Hmm.
my dear friend, Dr. Lear. But he showed how every time they would go in and cut and take that little beeper out, it was connected to a nerve ending because your body is an electrical unit. Your
Hmm.
body creates electricity. And so the electricity was connected to that little beeper. And so what happens is that's a picture of it right there. That's a piece of one of the little pieces of metal that was found inside a person's body. And
Hmm.
it was connected to your nerve ending. But what was interesting about it, he told me, what was interesting is that that little piece of metal was beeping a signal that only NASA could trace. It was beeping a
Wow.
signal that NASA uses to communicate with the satellites. And so somebody was tracing you and watching where you were going and what you're doing because you had this little piece of metal inside your hand or inside your leg or inside your foot. And so somebody was watching you. It was beeping. They could tell where you were and they could tell a lot about your body and who you are and where you are because it was connected to a nerve ending inside your body and somebody was following you wherever you go. They're watching you and you didn't even know that you have been tagged. And
Hmm.
so that's what Dr. Roger Lear used to do was he would find people with these little beepers in them. They would come to him. There's a classic picture of them. But these people would find things in their bodies when they went to have their leg or arm or wherever. That's one of those little beepers right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, people when they would injure themselves, they'd have to go to the doctor and have a X-ray. And when they have an X-ray, which you'll see there on the right hand in the middle, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
There is an X-ray of somebody's body, and you'll see that little piece of metal there. And so somebody was putting pieces of metal, little beeper instruments, little tiny ones, just little ones, and they were putting them in people's bodies, and they were beeping, and somebody was out there watching where you go and what you're doing. They're watching because they know where the beeper is. They can follow you on the earth wherever you go because it's beeping and is tracing you where you go. So somebody was tracing where humans are going. They're putting beepers on us and in us, in your body.
Hmm.
And I asked Dr. Lear, why didn't your body, the people's bodies, react to that piece of metal? Because normally if you get a little piece of metal stuck in your hand or stuck on you and it's stuck in you and it's gone in, it will
Right.
fester. It will become infested. and it will really hurt and start to turn red. It will infest, and then you'll know there's something in your hand. You got to take it out because the body is rejecting it, and therefore it's hurting you. Well, Dr. Lear said that what they found out is that when they go in and they cut these little beepers out, the beeper itself was covered with a plastic membrane, a real super thin little plastic covering over it. And that super thin plastic covering could not be cut with a surgical knife. You couldn't cut it. It won't cut. You can try all you want, as much pressure as possible, and you couldn't cut it. So somebody had some high-tech plastic that was covering this little diode so that the body and on this plastic had your DNA in the plastic, and that little covering was covered with your DNA. So somebody was taking your DNA, which is easy to do. They could just take a little clip out of your skin. You'd be sound asleep and you wouldn't even know it. They could take a little piece of your skin, and then they will know your DNA, and then they reproduce your DNA and put it in the plastic and wrap this little diode in with the plastic with your DNA. That way your body doesn't recognize it because it's the same DNA in your body. So that way the body does not recognize that that little piece of metal is in your body. And so somebody is tracing you and watching you where you go because they put a little electrical device inside of you that's covered with your DNA, so your body doesn't see it, you don't feel it, you don't see it, you don't even know it's there.
And there's no rejection from the subject.
That's right. But somebody put it in your body, and they were very clever and very smart, and they obviously did it when you were sleeping, because they have to cut inside of your body to go in and connect it to your nerve ending. And what was also very interesting is that when they go in, they cut and put this little diode, they put this little piece of equipment in your body. And it's covered with your DNA, so the body doesn't see it. Nobody sees it. It doesn't cause you any problems. But what's really interesting is that when they're through with that operation, whoever they are doing this, but when they're through with the operation, they can close your skin back up so smooth you'll never see it. You'll never see any cuts. You'll never see any bruises. You'll never see nothing. They can just close your skin up, and it will be, you'll never know that it was cut. You'll never know.
So it would go unnoticed. They wouldn't have any pain.
They will have no pain, no cuts, no zero, nothing. Nobody will even know it was there. Somebody put it inside of you, and you never knew it was there. And it was beeping and following you around wherever you will go in the world. Somebody knows where you are. They can trace and watch you. We know that they have that kind of technology. You can put it on an automobile. You can follow the car and wherever it goes. Well, somebody putting it on you and watching you wherever you go.
Wow. And did they have any side effects? I mean, did they go mad? Did they have some kind of like thinking about something? Like, did they?
I asked him.
Did they have strange dreams or something?
I asked him what was the reason for those little devices. I thought it was because they may be tracing you. And he said, no, it seems as though those little devices were made out of metal, which the scientists in the different universities, he sent those little pieces of metal to Alamogordo, New Mexico. He would send these little pieces of metal he takes out of people, send it to the big universities and have them check it and see what kind of metal it is. And they would tell him, this kind of metal does not exist on the earth. There is no metal like this on the earth. We don't know what it is, but it's very, very interesting. But it doesn't come from the earth, so we don't know what it is. So that's what that metal being taken out of people's bodies is, a kind of metal that we don't have on the earth. which implies that somebody was doing something with us from somewhere else out there. And they brought metals here, and they brought stuff here, and had control over us and putting it in our bodies, and they were watching us. And Dr. Lear said it wasn't to watch us where we're going. They already know where you are, and they can follow you anywhere. They already know where you're going. But those little pieces of metal, those little tiny little devices, were able to calculate what's going on in your body. They can tell if you're going to have a heart attack. They can tell if you're going to get sick, or if you got a disease in your body. They can tell. Whoever put that little thing in your body can tell all about you. Even if it's just in your hand, they can still tell about your body. So they can tell about your health in your body by putting those little tiny little devices inside of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go in and take them out and then take pictures of them, clean them off and take pictures of them. And people were wondering, where in the world did these little diodes and these little devices come from? And how did they put it inside your body and you didn't even know it was there? And the body didn't even know it was there. So they must have put it in when you were sleeping.
Wow.
And the idea was that when you fall asleep, you are totally unconscious. You don't know anything. You're sound asleep. Whoever they are, these extraterrestrials can come into your bedroom where you're sleeping, and they can make sure you don't wake up. They can do something to make sure that you stay asleep while they're operating on you. And you just stay asleep and you'll never even know what's going on. And then one day, when you wake up, you one day find out that there's a little tiny metal device has been put inside of you, in your foot or in your leg or in your arm or your wrist or on your hand. Sometimes it's put in one of the fingers. They're just tiny little devices, and they were connected to nerve endings. And the nerve endings supplied the electricity to run those little devices. Very clever and very highly technical, clever stuff. Somebody from out there is playing with we humans. They're messing with us. They're tagging us like we do animals. We tag and tag animals so we can keep track on them, who owns what and who owns what animal. Well, somebody's doing the same thing with us. They're tagging us.
So,
And
Jordan, there is no signs of intrusion. There is no side effects. No,
no,
the subjects cannot notice that there is something going on. They
No.
have no mental illness or anything. They have no
Nothing.
special abilities. They just basically put that there. Could there be like a human technology, very advanced technology, also that some kind of like secret group could monitor also humans
Well,
for
my
some reason or not?
my answer to that would be, if it was human, high-tech human technology,
Mhm.
how did it get inside of your body and connected to your nerve ending? Who did that? Wouldn't you think that would cause some serious problems if somebody broke into your home and created an operation on your body and
Wow.
cut into your skin and went in and connected a little
Scary.
a little device that's beeping? Who did that? If it was humans, how could humans do that? I mean, humans are so clumsy. We'd have to go in and clean the spot off with chemicals and go in and cut, and you'd have to have a whole operational group doing this. And this, and who could do that anyway? Take a little tiny, little microscopic, little tiny beeper and connect it to your nerve ending inside your body, and code it with your DNA so your body wouldn't be able to see it. Your body wouldn't even know it was there. No, the whole technology implies it's not of this world. Whoever was doing it is not like us humans. We are too ignorant and ill-informed to know how to do that. And if we did it, we would be too clumsy. Somebody very, very clever knew exactly how to cut into your body and place this little beeper
Mhm.
and connect it to your nerve ending and then cover it with your DNA so nobody will see it, and then wipe the wound, and it's gone forever. Nobody will ever see any cut. There'll be no cuts, no nothing. You won't see
Yeah,
any
yeah.
operation at all.
It's not visible or noticeable
No, not
at first
visible at
sight.
all. No.
But how did they then notice that they had this? Because they had to go to Roger Lear.
Because they go to a doctor if they are injured themselves, if they sprain their ankle, if they sprain their wrist, or hurt
Ah,
themselves, or did something where they hurt their arm, and they have to go to the doctor and have it X-rayed. And
yeah.
when they go to have it X-rayed, the doctor will tell them, "Well, no, there's nothing wrong with your arm, but we do find a piece of metal in your arm. You better have that checked. Did you know you have a piece of metal inside your arm?"
And they go,
And they
bam.
say
What is
no,
that?
and then the doctors will say, "Well, you better go check with this doctor we know. His name is Dr. Roger Lear. Give him a call and tell him that we found inside of you with our X-ray, and here the X-ray take the X-ray pictures to Dr. Lear and show him, and he'll talk to you about what's going on in your arm." And so the people would go to Dr. Lear and they say, "I had an accident and I had to have an X-ray, and they found in my leg a piece of metal, and they told me to come to you." And Dr. Lear would say, "Yeah, I understand. Let me give you the pictures, give me the X-rays." And then he would look at them, and then he would say, "Do you want me to take it out of you? If you want me to, I'll take it out of you." And the people would say, "Yes, we want this out. Whatever it is, take it out." And so he said, then he would set up an operation. They go to the hospital, and he would cut open the leg and cut open where this little thing was, and go in there and pull it out as a doctor would. He'd pull it out and then close it back up, and then take that little thing and clean it off, clean off the blood and whatever else was on it, and then send that little piece of metal to Alamogordo, New Mexico, to the scientific
To the lab.
experimental. There's a laboratory there, and they would take that and put it under their microscopes and examine the kind of metal it is and how big it is and what's it doing. And then you would find they would contact Dr. Lear and say, "This metal, we don't have this kind of metal on the earth. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know what it's doing, but all we do know is that it's beeping, and it's making a beeping sound." And we checked with NASA, and NASA said this particular beeping that this little thing is doing is a particular frequency that only NASA has the right to use. It's a U.S. government frequency that NASA can use to communicate with its satellites. It's a particular kind of frequency. Not everybody knows about it. But this little diode, this little pieces that take it out of your body, it sends out a beeping signal that is exactly that same signal that astronauts use to communicate with the Earth. And it's an
Scary.
incredible story about what are these implants in humans.
And do these individuals have something in common? I mean, do they have something special, or are they just average people, or?
They're just average people. It doesn't seem to be that they have anything in common at all. But some of those people are very interesting and important people. Some of them are very important people who
Uh-huh.
have their bodies tagged. Somebody's tagging them.
Any
And
children, young adults, or?
I think so. I think I recall him talking about there were some teenagers that also had to have the operation, and he had so many operations. I think he said it was like 13 operations, and out of those different operations, he had more than 13 of those little diodes. Sometimes there was more than one. And I know that one guy I know who's an author, and a lecturer, and a teacher, he had one put behind his ear, and he was feeling. He could feel something was inside the ear, and he could
Wow.
feel it. And so he had the X-ray, and they said, "Yeah, there's some kind of a piece of metal inside the ear." And so he went to see Dr. Lear. Dr. Lear checked it with the x-ray and said, yep, there's something in your ear that's in the actual ear itself. It's inside the ear. And they went in to cut. They were going to go in, and Dr. Lear was going to cut. And he said when he went to cut it, that little object moved. It moved. And so then he went down low and was going to cut there. And now the object moved up again higher. And wherever it was, Dr. Lear was going to cut on, it would move quickly. It didn't want to come out. It didn't want anyone to touch it. And so it seemed to either it had a mind of its own, or whoever put it in the person's ear was watching Dr. Lear trying to get it and take it out, and wouldn't let him do that. And they wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him do that. They would every time he went to cut, the thing would move quickly. And then he would.
It's scary. It's like a sci-fi movie or something.
It's like a sci-fi movie, and this metal was not of this earth. It's a kind of metal we don't have on the earth.
Yeah.
And they said at these laboratories, the big laboratories, they said we don't know what it is.
What really is
but
made
it's
out?
covered. But it's covered with DNA. It's covered with a plastic cover wrapped around it, and it's connected to a nerve ending. And that's what caused it to operate, was your nerve ending is an electrical connection. That's how you can move your hands, you can move your arm, because it's a nerve ending. It's electrical. Your body is a biological battery.
And
so
this takes me to some place else here that some astrophysicist or scientist many years ago, I think it was Scottish or Scottish American, received a signal from somewhere
That's
in
right.
Cassiopeia, right, or something like
Yeah,
that.
from Cassiopeia. Yeah.
Do you know about this?
Yep, I sure do. Hold on, I got the documents right here.
Oh my God! Oh, you
Here's
got
the
everything,
document.
man.
Cassiopeia. Yep,
On Cassiopeia, because Cassiopeia has to do with like the Greek mythology and Zeus
that's right.
and all these very intrinsical stories of the Greek gods and deities, and the divine,
Well, the book was called The Theogony of Hesiod. The Theogony of Hesiod is the name of the book that story was in.
The history of the gods, yeah.
The history of the gods in the universe. And it's an ancient, prehistoric, ancient Greek book written by a man called Hesiod.
Yeah.
And Hesiod said, let's see where it is today.
Don't worry, have your time. I'm gonna put some pictures up of Hesiod, the great Hesiod.
Hesiod.
It's from like 600 before Christ. This guy.
Yeah, he wrote the book, The Theogony.
Yeah.
Theogony of Hesiod was the name of the book he wrote.
Like something like the genealogy of the gods or something like that would be
The
translated.
genealogy
into
of the
regular
gods in the heavens. That's right. Somebody wanted him to write a book about the different gods that are in the heavens, the different spirit gods. And he wrote a book about it. And he called it The Theogony of Hesiod. The reason they call it theogony, because the is God in the ancient Greek. Is God. So when you talk about theogony, or if you're going to study about God, then we call it theology.
Yep.
Because theology.
You got theos, dios, dia, comes
That's
from
right.
there in Latin, in Greek, in English, everywhere. You have
That's
this.
right. Exactly.
This theo, sometimes pronounced as theo, sometimes even pronounced as je. So
You're right.
It varies, depending on the language and the lingo, whatever, but
the
in
dialect
Latin,
of the different languages.
yeah, whatever. Yeah. French is dia, Spanish is dios, from theos, and then Italian is Dio, and then
Yep, that's right.
and in some Syriac languages, even they have the Ju, I think, nominative. Ju, Jew, or G instead of the. They say G or Jew, I think. Uh,
It's really interesting when you get into theology
yeah,
and the
yeah.
study of God.
Yeah, yeah.
When
There's
you
even a
start,
lot of frescoes and representations. I'm just actually showing some here of the
yeah,
theogony related to paganism too. All the Greek,
yep,
history of gods, and then you have, of course, Zeus. You have Thera, Cassiopeia, Selene. That was they're basically the archetypes for also planets. The planets were name after the gods in Italy, in Rome.
that's
So,
right, that's right.
but they
In
come from the
ancient
from the
Europe,
Greek,
and then
right?
in the Middle East, Zeus had his own river.
Yeah, yeah,
You turn Zeus backwards. The word Zeus backwards is Suez,
yeah, yeah. The
and they have a
channel, the
canal
canal.
called
Yeah.
Suez Canal. Suez is Zeus spelled backwards.
Yeah,
So
it's very interesting.
here is the stuff I was looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Because Zeus also is like Theos, but pronounced without the th. That th sound becomes a z sound. So instead of having Theo, you have Theos, like in Castilian, in Spanish Castilian.
Of course, yeah, and then you
Actually,
also have the
Theos
word
is
Dios.
right, right,
Dios.
right. Because the D, the T, and the th, they're very similar sounds. They come from the interdental. They're dental sounds. They're from the teeth.
Yep. Hmm.
Dental means teeth in Latin. So, or in Spanish or in Italian or in Portuguese or all these Latin languages supposedly, and then
Hmm.
you have the sound. So like theater, the theater, theater is the place.
That's where we get the word church. A church is a theater
Yeah, yeah,
because the is God. The theater is a God show.
right on.
You
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
to the show. You go to the movie house. It's a big movie house, and you pay for the ticket. And you go and sit in the chair. You go sit in the booth, and therefore it's called a motion picture show. It's an entertainment.
Yeah,
And
because,
so the church is a God show. You go there and pay
yeah,
the
yeah.
money, and you go and sit in the booth, and you sit in the chair, and you are watching a show.
The actors. Yeah, you're
The
watching the
actors.
actors because in Spanish, for example, it's teatro. Teatro is the actors of God,
That's it.
the actors. But in English, it turned out to be theater. In British English with the re spelling, and in American English with the er spelling.
Exactly. And that's why during the war, during major world wars, you have the different theaters of war. You have the Pacific Theater, you
Yeah.
had the Atlantic Theater, the European Theater of war. The generals call it the theater of war. You had the Pacific Theater. Theater means a show. That's why the big world wars were nothing more than a show. It was being put on to scare the world, the show. And so that's why you have a Pacific Theater and the Atlantic Theater and the European Theater. Somebody was putting on a show to scare the world, and it cost a lot of money. So that's why the bankers had to pay for it.
But
Yeah,
you have this signal coming from Cassiopeia by the scientist, a Scottish guy. We don't
yeah,
remember the name now. I don't remember the name now.
yeah.
He was a very famous astrophysicist.
Carl
Uh,
Carl Jansky.
Carl Jansky. Yeah, Carl Jansky.
Jansky. Carl Karl.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too Scottish. So maybe I got it wrong. I don't know. I thought it was Scottish.
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. Then there was a Scottish one back in 1940.
Ah,
Yeah, there was Carl Jansky was the first one who found that there was a signal coming from Cassiopeia, the constellation of stars called Cassiopeia. Well,
Mhm.
he developed something called a radio telescope, Karl
Mhm.
Jansky, a radio telescope, and he was receiving some kind of a message from the area in the sky where the stars were called Cassiopeia.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so his name was Carl Jansen. He's the one that invented the radio telescope.
Mhm.
Then in 1940s, a Scottish astronomer named Duncan Lunan.
Duncan Lawrence, yeah, yeah. You see, I knew there were some Scottish guy. I
Yeah,
didn't get to the part of the because he's from Oklahoma, but I think he was of Czech, the Czech Republic immigrants. That the Jansky. That's why it sounded to me a bit like an Eastern European name, like Polish or
yeah,
Czech or Slovakian or whatever. But the Duncan guy, that's the one I heard about.
yeah. There was a Scottish guy he was a Scottish astronomer. His name was Duncan, Duncan. Last name Lunan, Lunan. Duncan Lunan was a Scottish astronomer, and he took Carl Jansky's radio telescope. Carl Jansky had already passed away, was gone, but Duncan Lunan took Carl Jansky's radio telescope and he sent the signal out to Cassiopeia, just as Carl Jansky had done. He
Mhm.
sent it out there, and he got back an intelligent message. Somebody was sending the message back, so he knew that there was somebody out there in Cassiopeia. And the reason why the both of them are looking at Cassiopeia, because that was what was written in the book, the book that was written by the author. What was the name of the book?
Theogony.
The Theogony of Hesiod. Yeah, the Theogony of Hesiod. Uh, Hesiod said that he was told by angels. He was told by the angels that there was a God over the earth, the God who was in control of the solar system and the sun and the moon and the stars and our earth and our planets. There was a God that was assigned to be over us. And they told him that the God who is over the earth, his name is Zeus. And they told him that Zeus lived in a star system called Cassiopeia. And they said that the god Zeus lived in Cassiopeia, and that if he, the god Zeus, were to walk out, these angels told Hesiod, if Zeus, where he lives, if he were to walk out on his front porch with an anvil, a heavy anvil, and he
Mhm.
dropped it off of his planet, he dropped it off of where he lives, and it would fall down to the earth. It would take 9 days and 9 nights and 9 hours and how many hours and how many minutes and how many seconds before it would hit the earth. They told him exactly how long it would take to hit the earth if Zeus were to drop off an anvil off of his front porch, how long it would take to hit the earth. And so the scientists, with the radio telescope, that's very simple to figure out how far away that is. They just calculated in the computer to see how far away it would be,
Mhm.
given the speed that an anvil would fall, how long would it take, or how far would it go in 9 days and 9 nights and 9 hours and all that minutes and seconds. The scientists said it's a little over 3 million miles away. And so when Duncan Lunan aimed the radio telescope at Cassiopeia and sent out a message, it came right back, and they calculated that it was a little over 3 million miles away. Cassiopeia was sending back a message from 3 million miles away. Well, that's what the angels told Hesiod. that if Zeus were to drop an anvil off, it would take 9 days and 9 nights and until it hit. And we now know that was a little over 3 million miles. Well, now when they sent the message out to Cassiopeia, they said it came back and it was about 3 million miles away. So now we know that there's somebody in Cassiopeia, the constellation of Cassiopeia, somebody is intelligent there that can receive your message and turn around and send you back a message. So when we hear today, when we are told today that NASA is they're looking out there into space to see if they can find some intelligence out there. That is a bull crap story. It's a lie. They're not looking for life out there. They already know there's life out there. They know where it is. They've known it for a long time. The U.S. has been communicating with extraterrestrial life for a long, long time. They just didn't tell you. They're doing things out there in space they didn't tell you anything about. And they're doing things today in space that they've never told you anything.
We are on a need to know basis,
That's on a need to know basis, and you don't need to know.
Yeah,
and I like what that comedian, what was his name, George Carlin.
George Carlin, yeah,
he said the guys who run NASA and the people who run the United States of America, the guys at the top of the world, the big shots who run this country and run the space program. He said it's a big club and you ain't in it. So they ain't telling you nothing. It's a big club, but you forget it because they ain't going to tell you nothing because they don't have any respect for you at all. They let you pay the bills, let you put the money up for NASA, and they will use the money and they'll thank you for that you're spending billions of dollars to finance NASA. But you're not in the club. So it's a big club and you ain't in it. So you just put the money in and don't worry about what they're finding out. Whatever they're finding, that's their business, none of your business. You just go drink your beer and watch your football. Yeah, and they'll let you know.
I just found this, Jordan. Maybe it's quite interesting here. In the 1600s, various biblical figures were depicted in the stars of Cassiopeia. This included Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, Deborah, an Old Testament prophetess, and Mary Magdalene, a disciple of Jesus. In the Quran, there's a figure of Cassiopeia. It's called the tinted hand, and that is the bloodied hand of Muhammad's daughter, Fatima. The hand is made up of the stars Cassiopeia, Alpha, Beta, whatever, the different Omega, and the arm is made up of the other stars of Pair. So it actually shows up on biblical imagery. It's quite interesting.
I didn't know that. So Cassiopeia plays a very important part in ancient mythologies. Why? Because it's not mythology. There is somebody out there in Cassiopeia who sends back electrical signals. When you send a signal out to Cassiopeia, a signal comes back. But we humans don't know how to read that signal. We don't know what it's saying because we don't speak the language. They're sending back a message to the earth from Cassiopeia to the earth back in the 1940s, 1930s. And we now know that there's messages coming from Cassiopeia to the earth, but we don't know what it's saying. It's not our language. And so we don't know what the word, we don't know what the message is because we don't speak that language. So, but my point being is that when you hear that we here in America at NASA are looking for signals in outer space to see if there's any life out there, it's a lie. We're not looking for signals in space. We know where they are. We've been contacting Cassiopeia a long time ago. It's just a secret club, and you ain't in the club, so they're not going to tell you nothing. They're not telling you anything what this government's doing. But you can understand that the United States federal government knows things that you are never, ever going to be told. You're never going to be told what the United States federal government really knows about the world we live in. They got all the top scientists and the top money and all the top people working around the clock to tell the government what's going on the earth and what's going on out there. If there's anything going on out there, the U.S. wants to know about it. And that's why we have Star Wars system. We have all these extraterrestrial systems of communication with flying saucers and UFOs and aliens. All kinds of stuff is happening, and the U.S. government knows it. They know exactly what they're doing. They know precisely what's happening. It's just that you don't know, and they're not interested to tell you because you don't amount to nothing. You're not important. The government is important. They need to know. They will find out, and they'll know what's going on. But they're not telling you.
But Jordan, we have a mole in the government. We have a top guy. We have Uncle Donald here, Saint Donald. He's going to tell us something. Donald, what do you say? What do you say, Uncle Donald?
Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people.
You see, he's telling you guys, you're dishonest people, man. That's why we got you there, Uncle Donald. Yeah, I love you. Kiss. Yeah, there you go. We'll have you later. You know, he's a prophet. He's you see, I just ask him to say a word, and he's perfect. He's got 17 phrases. I don't pick him. It's just like telepathy. We communicate. He seems like a toy, but he must have some chip or something. One of those.
Yeah, probably a little implant. Maybe a little implant. Who knows?
There you go. You got the red tie. Yeah, you go get him, Tiger. You go get him. We're gonna come out victorious after the impeachment. We're gonna be number one. And make America great again, and make the world and the planet great again, of course.
Yeah, but I've often wondered, what is the impeachment all about?
I don't know. They changed the narrative. It's quid pro quo, whatever. They start talking Latin. They go like Alea Jacta est, Chucky Puki Paki. I don't understand what they say. And then they go, it's the Ukrainians. It's the Ukrainians colluding with the Russians. I mean, come on, man. The Russians and Ukrainians are enemies. They can be in the business against Donald Trump. I mean, come on. It's just like crazy stuff.
It's ludicrous because since Trump got into presidency, America is now back to work. We get all of our industries brought back. They're opening up steel plants. We're opening up all of our manufacturing plants are all coming back to America. Americans are going back to work. We're coming back to work. We're making money. We're making more money today we ever made before. Mm-hmm. And we have put more people to work right now in America than has ever worked in America before. We got far more people working in America today than have ever worked in America before. And they're making far more money, much money that they have ever made before. And we got all of our industries coming back to America, and we're putting people to work. And I'm just trying to figure out in my mind, what is it you want to impeach the president for? What's he done? He just made you wealthy. He's made you rich.
He's just done his job. They want to impeach him for doing his job. It's so stupid. But look at Jordan. The thing is that he opened a factory that was closing down, an Apple factory in Texas. This factory was closing down. Actually, was literally closed. Then he put it on Twitter and he said, "We reopened the factory from 2013, and the demon rats, because I call them demon rats, and many people call them this. The demon rats started saying, "Oh, this factory was already opened by Obama." Yeah, man, but it was closing down because they were paying higher taxes, whatever. And thanks to Uncle Donald, he reopened the freaking factory instead of sending the factory to China. And they're trying to always have a narrative. even I've noticed that on the internet they're trying to erase things from Obama and Bush and the Clintons locking up children in cages and stuff like that. That they blame him just to fit the narrative of the Democrats. I mean, it's just so crazy, man. It's ever so crazy. But I believe after the impeachment, he's gonna come out stronger. He'll be reelected, and what they're doing. And I think you see it there. I can see it from overseas here. I mean, I'm not stupid, that they're trying to stop him from working. They're trying to get him all the time on the news with some freaking bad news or fake news, and then trying to hassle him all the time with something. If
And
it's
the
a Russian,
reason why is because the Democratic Party abhors and hates this country. They have been trying for many years to overthrow the government of the United States. They are the real secret enemies in America. And they hate this country. They hate the fact that there are people working and making money, because the Democrats want people poor, ignorant, ill-informed, unread, and stupid, and broke with no jobs and no hope, because those people are voters and they will vote for the Democrats, because the Democrats say, we love the poor people. We want to help the poor people.
Mhm.
Well, why don't you give them a job, stupid? Why don't you create work for them if you love them? No, we're not creating no jobs for nobody. We want to make sure there are no jobs for anyone, that everybody's broke, because if a whole country is broke and nobody has any money and nobody has a job, people are going to vote for us, and it will ensure that we will always be in the limelight. We'll always be number one.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Because there's more poor people on the earth than there is super rich. And so the poor people will vote for us, and that means we will stay in office. We can run the world. But we don't want the people of America wealthy and working and making plenty of money and educating themselves and getting their industries back. And so now the poor people are now making money, and they don't need us anymore. So that's why they hate. That's why they hate the government. The Democrats abhor and hate America's government, because we are now wealthy again. We're now back on the job again. We're now the most important nation in the world. We're producing more today than we ever produced before. We got more people working in America than ever worked before. We're making salaries higher than people have ever been paid before. And all the minorities in this country are far, far more minorities are working today in America than they ever have before, ever.
Yeah,
Well,
because
the
what they do.
Democrats, the Democrats don't like that at all. They want people poor and ignorant.
They want the people to actually feed on the system, to depend on Papa State,
Yeah,
the almighty state. So they give subsidies. They give a little money, not too much money, so they can kind of get by, and subsidies and financial aid and all this stuff, all this mambo jumbo socialist stuff. So people, they start depending a lot on the government, so they don't look for a job, and they just like dragging on and the same problems. Typical, socialistic card they do
that's
in
right.
Europe and in countries like Russia. And
But
what the president has to do is basically eliminate regulations, eliminate financial aid or whatever. We know there's like a small percentage of people, they don't have an arm, or they're missing a half eye, or they have some chronic disease. Okay, fine, those you can help them out. But the rest of the
that's right.
people, you deregulate everything. You take out all these stupid laws and whatever contracts, employer, on a one-to-one basis, and people get to work. It's easy. I mean, that's why Trump actually, he's not intervening in the economy a lot, because he knows if he doesn't, regulate and he makes
Just
laws and
stay
pass
out
bills.
of it. The business
Yeah,
will take care of itself. Just stay out of the business.
yeah, yeah. Because
And the mere fact that America is a corporation, this is what people don't realize. It's not the United States of America. It does not exist anymore.
the
There is
United
no
States
United
of
States.
amnesia,
That's right. Yeah, and so there is no United States of America. It doesn't exist. There's only a U.S. corporation. It's called the U.S. INC, Incorporated. The U.S. is a company, it's a corporation, and it was incorporated in Delaware. It's a Delaware corporation. So today there's a company called the United States Corporation. It's not the United States of America. And so therefore it's a,
I knew Jordan. I knew Jordan that with that name Delaware, it was bad news.
that's right.
You can't be called
Delaware
Delaware
is
and be a
bad
nice
news.
place.
Did you know that Delaware is the murder capital of America, the United States of America? More murders are committed in Delaware than anywhere else in this country. Even Chicago can't keep up with Delaware. The
Oh,
more
really?
murders is called the murder capital of America is Delaware, a little Mickey Mouse little state on the East Coast called Delaware.
Hmm.
And that's where the real organized crime, violence, drug addiction, gang wars, motorcycle gangs. It's an incredible criminal capital in America is Delaware. But that's where all the big corporations, General Electric, General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Exxon Oil, all the big corporations are incorporated in Delaware. Why? Because that's where the big corporations have always incorporated their big companies is in Delaware. That's where the money, the organized crime, the syndicates is. That's
So
where all the organized crime is.
so you know, people, if you want to open a company, go to Delaware. It's
Go
cheap
to
there.
Delaware and bring
Go to
it.
Delaware,
Yeah,
but
but
just
you
to
better.
register the company. Don't live there.
Yeah, you can go to Delaware, but make sure you have an armed guards with you.
Oh my
Make sure
God.
you have armed guards to protect you because it's a murder capital of America.
Hey, Jordan. We were talking about implants, hybrid. I don't know how we got to politics, but of course, it's current affairs, whatever. Hybrid humans. What do you think about hybrid humans? Because all these, mumbo jumbo with the chips being inserted implants. Also, does it have to do anything with these hybridized people? I mean, do you
I
think?
think that's exactly what's happening.
Oh my
I
God.
think the whole human race is being hybridized. I think the entire earth
Me
is
too.
in an experiment to hibernate all the people of the world. I mean, even Steven Spielberg in his movies he made called Transformers. Everything is a transformer. It shows an automobile that opens up into a big, giant, uh, some giant monster. Yeah. And that's a transformer because you've transformed the human race. And that's why you have what do they call it? GMO.
GMO, yeah.
Yeah,
Genetic
GMO.
modified.
Yeah, genetically modified foods.
Yep.
Why? Because it's not just genetically modified foods, you are being genetically modified. And so they are preparing food that only your body can use. Once they make you into a genetically modified human, you're going to need the genetically modified foods. So the genetically modified, they want to modify you genetically. That's
I'm,
the
I'm,
hybrids.
my brain. So my brains would be like poo poo. It will be like the
That's
IQ
exactly
will
right.
go down.
That's exactly right. You
So
have no idea how to think, how to reason. You have no idea how to read, how to think, how to question anything. You just go and do what the government tells you, and whatever the church says, you just do what the powers that be,
Mhm.
the institutions, they will tell you how to think. The banks will let you know what you can do, what you can't do. The government will tell you what you can do with your house and what you can't do, and what color you can paint your house and what you have to do to stay alive. So that the whole idea is to control over the human family, to control the human race with government, with banks, with institutions, with military, with the law enforcement, It's really an extraordinary show of what's going on the earth today. The whole human family on the earth, all over the world, people are unrest. What we call civil unrest. There's
Hmm.
a lot of rioting and killing going on around the world today because the human race knows that they're being put into a prison of the mind. And people all around the world, in Europe and all over Asia and Africa, people know they're losing their freedom. They no longer have any freedom. They have no freedom of thought, no freedom of action. They can't do anything. The government tells them what they can do, what they can't do. And if they get out of line, they go to jail because the government wants you in compliance. And if you don't do what the government tells you, you go to prison. And so the people around the world know there's something definitely wrong with the world in which we live. There is no freedom. There is no liberty. There is no justice. There's nothing. There is no justice. This is why in America, the judges will tell you in America, there is no justice. There's just us.
Just us. There you
Yeah.
go. I mean, why then don't they should hybridize, Swedish women or Ukrainian or Russian men, like blonde hair, nice women, and clone them or something and send them back here, man, instead of making us stupid, man.
I
There's never a
know.
plan to make people beautiful, man. Shit.
Incredible, incredible what they're doing to children in schools, vaccinations. They're vaccinating children. They won't let in America. They won't let your children go to school unless you have them vaccinated.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
you ask the government, well, what is the vaccination for? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. No, no. What is it for? What are you vaccinating them for? What kind of chemicals are you putting into their vaccination? They won't tell you. No, you don't ask that. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, they usually say, because there would be an epidemic of
Yeah,
mumps
it'd be
or
an
measles.
epidemic. It'd be a terrible epidemic.
There'd be an epidemic of stupidity. Do you have a vaccination of that?
Yeah,
No, no, we don't
because
have that. No, no, just
no,
put his
no, no, no.
vaccination. We'll have an
We've been
epidemic of
working on causing that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
The-
it's a
the-
very, very, very serious thing what's happening in the world today. The
Mhm.
human race is being ushered into a world prison. And one day, the whole world of mankind all over the earth is going to wake up and find out we're all members of a communist society like North Korea.
The
We're
stupid
going to
race.
have ignorant, ill-informed, dim-witted, stupid, and go along to get along, butt kissing, behind kissing people that just do what they're told to do and kiss the butts of the masters who own the world. And we just go along to get along, and they feed us and they keep us alive. But why? Because they're feeding you, because you're cattle. They
Yeah,
look at
yeah, yeah.
us like we are cattle. So they have to give you a place to sleep and they have to give you a place and food to eat. Why? Because they're going to sell your body. You're being bought and sold. And
Eh,
so
And then, Jordan, the motto will be "Make the monkeys great again," or "Make the apes great again."
that's
Make
it. They're telling you that. They tell you in movies, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I drew a bit of a young Jordan there, talking about the Matrix, the power of the Matrix of power, and
Yep.
some of the topics we've been talking today. Hey, by the way, what do you think about Saturn? Because there was a guy, a scientist, I think, worked for that, like the JPL Labs or something, or the
He
Lockheed
worked with NASA. He was a dear
or
friend of
NASA. Yeah.
mine. He worked directly with NASA.
And he says something about the rings of Saturn being actually built,
Yeah,
being
well,
grown. How does it
but he
work?
also was telling me that there are vehicles, what we would call UFOs, that are coming and going into Saturn. Saturn is inhabited.
My God.
Yeah.
But inhabited where? Because it's supposed to be like a big mass or something,
Yeah,
gas
well,
with.
I was told that Saturn is inhabited and that there are more entities coming to Saturn every day that the U.S. government knows. NASA sees these ET vehicles, what we would call flying saucers or whatever they are, whatever these vehicles are, they are huge, enormous in size. They're the size of these extraterrestrial vehicles that are coming to Saturn are like 3,000 miles across. That's how big
My
they are,
God.
3,000 miles across. And the scientist told me, the man who wrote the book on it told me, there's the book. You see, the book is called Ringmakers of Saturn. Go back to the book. There it is. See the book?
Yeah.
Yep, it's called
Is written by
Ringmakers of Saturn.
yeah, by Norman. Norman, what is that?
Norman, yeah, and he was,
Berggren.
yeah,
Berggren.
yeah, and he was a good friend of mine.
Bergreun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
But he
he
was,
said
he
also
said
that
that
there were
the,
some aliens there, some big black aliens or something.
yeah, he said that there were aliens on the planet Saturn and that they're building up. He told me that they are building up what we know, what NASA knows, is that there are aliens on the planet of Saturn and they're building up some kind of an invasionary uh, military establishment. They're building some kind of an invasion force. And more extraterrestrials are coming, and they're on Saturn. They're coming to Saturn, and they're getting bigger and more and more and more, which is telling NASA that something is getting ready to happen. It looks like there's a build-up, a military build-up on the planet Saturn because they're getting ready to invade us, the Earth.
Yeah,
And
they're going to invade the
so
Earth for what? There's already stupid people here. Do they
I
want
know
to?
that. Yeah,
Sure,
why would they
stupid
want to
people.
come here?
I don't understand, man. It doesn't make sense, man, to me.
And I have people asking me on radio if there are extraterrestrial aliens, why don't they come here and land here in front of the White House so we can see them and we can talk to them and then we'll know that they're here. And I say the reason why they don't show themselves, I said, is because I am a human like you are, and I'm ashamed to talk to you because you're so damn stupid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. What are you going to give to an
You
alien?
want them
What do
to
you have?
come here. You want them to come here. When was the last time you sat down on the sidewalk in town and tried to explain to the ants at the ant
Right.
colony about Einstein's theory of relativity and his special theories? When was the last time you actually sat down on the sidewalk and talked to the ants? Well, that's what they would be doing if they came here and talked to you. And I'm a human, like I said, I'm human, and I don't even want to talk to you. I don't have time to talk to people who are ignorant, ill-informed, unread, have no interest in knowing anything, have no interest in looking at anything, knowing anything, researching nothing, and asking any kind of questions. Why should I, who have spent 60 years of my life reading and studying day and night all the subjects I could find out on the earth, and why should I now then sit and talk with people who don't even know they're alive? So as
Jordan,
far as I'm
take us to
concerned,
your leader.
say that
Please,
again.
we want to talk to your leader. Take us to your leader. We want to learn how stupid you guys are.
Yeah,
Because we can
because we're
find anyone
looking
in the
at you,
universe so stupid as
we're
you.
looking at you, and we can't believe how stupid you are.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
want to actually find out if you really are that stupid.
We're
If you
just
really
having a
are.
party up there and we're laughing at you guys.
Yeah. And we just want to know, are you really as stupid as you look and sound to us? That's why we don't come down. Why would they come down here and talk to us? Because if they came down here, what we would do is call the police and the cops would come out and beat them up.
Yeah. Look,
And
this is a spaceship I made myself with some,
yeah, I
plates
know.
and stuff.
Well,
I'm very creative. I make all my things myself. I never had
yeah,
close up encounter because I just run away. If I see aliens, I just run the hell out of there, man.
I have
But
had I've had close encounters.
I know, Jordan.
Personally.
But I want you to explain to me about the tiny aliens, like this ship. There was something
Oh
with
yeah,
your
yeah.
friend or something.
This was my friend who was a publisher. I have a publisher friend in San Diego, has a very big
Yeah,
publishing
San
house.
Diego, California. Yeah.
Yeah, in San Diego, California. And he was telling me he's had so many strange experiences like I have. And he was telling me one time we were talking about our experiences. And hold on just a minute.
Well, you have the aliens there. You're scary, man.
Yeah, I got scary aliens here.
Yeah, you
But
you
anyway,
scared the hell out of me. There is an invasion ready to go, man. They're coming from Saturn.
it
They're gonna
was
come and blow us out of the picture into smithereens. Oh my god!
yep.
So who cares?
It
And
wouldn't
I'm here
surprise
having a
me.
beer, a couple of cigarettes, no problem, man. Come here. I'm waiting for you guys.
He
I'm super.
said, but my friend who was a publisher told me,
Yeah, yeah,
he said he lived in Massachusetts and he lived toward the mountains, in the mountains of Massachusetts, where it was not very, very many people, very small population. And he said in his backyard, in his backyard, he had a little above ground pool, a little plastic pool filled with water,
yeah.
and it was right outside his bedroom window. And he said one morning the dog used to sleep on his bed with him. And he said the dog woke up and was growling low, a low growl, but he wasn't barking. And he said, and I knew there was something in the yard. The dog knew there was something in the yard, and he was scared of it. And he was growling. And he said, so I got up and I went over to the window. And he said, and the blinds were pulled down. And he said, but I opened up the blind just a little bit so I could see. And when I opened up the blind to see, when I
Yeah.
opened up the blind, I saw a little round spaceship, a flying saucer. It looked to be about 2 foot across, 2.5 foot across. And he said you could see there was glass around the circumference of it. And you could see little tiny creatures inside, walking around inside this little spaceship. And they were little ones. And he said, and I could see that the spaceship, this flying saucer or whatever it was I was looking at, it had a straw. And the straw was coming out of it into the pool water. And it was obviously sucking up the water. It was taking on water. Why? Because the aliens obviously know how to convert
The water into fuel.
the water into fuel, because the hydrogen and the fuel for the UFO can be created out of water. And we know that's true. We've heard that many times. And so he says, so I saw them. I saw these little creatures walking around inside this little 2 foot, 2.5 foot, he said about 2.5 foot across UFO hovering above the pool. And he said, and I could see people inside of it. And he said, and the dog was growling, and that's what he was growling at. He knew there was something wrong here. And he said, I've never seen anything like this in my life, but I saw this little round flying saucer, and that was many years ago. He told me that.
Do they like regular people, or they have strange heads, or
No, he said they looked like normal people, but they had on uniforms, and there was a glass perimeter, and he said there were people standing there leaning on their armrest, looking out the glass, looking out. And he said,
Wow.
I could see them. They were looking out all around the glass, and they were all leaning on an armrest, looking out the glass at the yard. And he says, so I could see them, and they're walking around inside. So they were just little tiny people
Yeah,
inside a big UFO, 2.5, 3 foot across.
yeah. There's actually a movie with Eddie Murphy called Meet Dave, and he talks about these little aliens too. They come in kind of spaceships in the movie,
What was
and
it called?
it's called Meet Dave. I'm trying to pull it here. Meet Dave. That's the movie. I'm gonna share it with you guys. He's right now on the
Oh,
screen. Meet Dave. Yeah,
Meet Dave.
and they actually build a human-like Eddie Murphy, but they actually travel inside this Eddie Murphy human being, though they're very tiny. So when you see
Yeah, and that
that,
interesting.
yeah, and this is called Meet Dave. That's the movie. There's the aliens come in,
Meet
and
Dave.
yeah,
And also, didn't Spielberg make a movie called Batteries Not Included?
yes, something like this. Yeah, the
It was a
with the
little
soldiers.
UFO, little saucer shaped
Yeah,
thing, a little saucer shape. And the name of the movie, Batteries Not Included.
yeah. Batteries not included. I got it somewhere here too. Batteries
Find
not.
it. Batteries Not Included is a movie.
Yeah, batteries
Uh,
not included. Yeah, it's very tiny aliens too. They're like kind of a robots or transformers or something.
yeah, yeah.
They're not real humans. That's the movie right there. Yeah, batteries not included. There you go. Yes.
And so that's what my publisher friend in San Diego said he saw. He said, I saw these little small creatures inside this UFO. And he says they're typical of UFO flying saucer thing. They had glass around the middle of it, glass. And he said there were all kinds of little people in there looking out and looking out the yard. And they were
Yeah.
taking on water.
This sounds more like Meet Dave from 2008. I don't know when he had experience, but in 2008 they made the movie with Eddie Murphy. It was actually a flop. It didn't actually, bring a lot of, box
They did
office
make a lot
money.
of money. Yeah. Well,
No, it
that,
didn't make a lot of money. It's like,
I'm interested to watch that, although I want to go see it. Today we
yeah.
got movies like Men in Black. Remember the movie Men in Black?
Oh, sure. I've seen like there's like three different sequels.
Yeah, and they got these little small extraterrestrial creatures inside of
Yeah, they're funny.
larger.
Smoking cigarettes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sure that this government, the U.S. government, knows a lot of things that's going on this earth about the extraterrestrial presence, and they know all about it, but they're not saying anything to us. And the reason why is because it's a big club and you ain't in it. So
of course.
you're not supposed to know. They're not going to tell you nothing.
Of course. I mean, this is all like top secret stuff, and
That's it.
it's a need to know basis. And of course, if you're so stupid, they're not gonna like. Well, I have them on the screen. They're funny beans. I mean, you have to be really creative to come out with all this stuff. If you haven't seen it previously. So I don't know
Not
how they.
only that, but we humans we humans did not go out there and find them and then go out and visit them. But
Yeah.
they out there, they found us and they've come here to visit us. So
They,
who is smarter? Who is far more intelligent? We are sending out all kinds of bull crap that we're looking for life in outer space and all that nonsense. We're looking for life when we damn well know there's life there. We know where they are. We know. We've already contacted them.
but
But we don't know where they are, and we can't get to them because we don't have brains enough to get to them. We can't. They're too far away. We say to ourselves, "Oh, we can't go out there because it's way too far. Way too far. We can't get to them." But they can get to us. They came from out there, came here. It's not too far for them. They can come here to visit us, but we can't go there. Why? Because they're smarter than we are. They're a lot more educated than we are. They're not stupid like we are.
What do you think, Jordan? The system that they manage. I mean, what kind of system do you think they have? Do they have money? They have exchange. They have what do they have? Do they
You
suck
know
up
what?
energy?
I have thought about that, and I've often wondered what kind of a system do they have, and how is it that they can come here and join us and be a part of our world and lying to us and giving us our religious beliefs and our governmental arrangements and teaching us how to think and what to think and giving us all of our religions and our belief systems. Isn't that interesting that we humans are being led by our nose? We're being led to believe things that we think we understand and we think we know, and we believe in our churches and in our religion, when all it is just teachings of these extraterrestrials who have come here to manipulate us, to exploit our stupidity, and to lead us into following them. And so I just think it's incredible how much of a human race does not know. We don't know. We've never been told.
I mean,
And we're not.
have you ever? Sorry, Jordan. Have you ever met anybody that told you about how they feed, how they eat? They actually wee. They go to wee and make a poo poo or something. They have to
I
eat actually
know.
something, right?
Nobody I've talked to has ever given me any information like that. But one thing somebody did tell me, Dr. Stanton Friedman,
Oh yeah,
the
the astrophysicist or
yeah,
something.
the
He
physicist.
passed away.
He did?
Yeah, I think he passed away like last year or something. Yeah,
I
last year or
didn't
this
hear
year.
that.
Yeah, hang on. I'll tell you now. Friedman, astrophysicist. I'm googling here. But I think he passed away. Alexander Friedman. No, this is not Alexander. Yes, Stanton T. Friedman. Yeah, there's a
Stanton
couple of.
Friedman.
Yeah, he passed away in May.
You sure of
May
that?
3rd. Yeah, it says here, May 13. He's gone, man. Hang on, I'm gonna share the screen with you right here. There you
That's
go.
him. That's him.
Yeah, he passed away. He passed
Oh
away
my
May
Lord, I didn't know that.
5 months ago. Yeah,
Oh, he was
July
a dear,
20.
dear friend. I love Stanton Friedman. He was such a wonderful guy. I liked him so much.
Nuclear
And
physicist from Canada,
I didn't know.
and
Yeah, he was from Newfoundland in Canada.
yeah, in Canada, and does it
I
say
didn't know
here?
that he passed away. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
You never know. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
Freeman
still
was
here.
Jewish, was blah blah blah. It doesn't say where he died, where he
Yeah,
passed
I'll
away.
be darned.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. Him and Dr. Roger Lear,
Yeah.
Stanton Friedman, and there were a bunch of other doctors. They were all my dear friends, all of them.
Yeah, he
And I'd be damned. And I didn't know Dr. Stanton Friedman passed away. That's a real loss. He was a wonderful man. I really
yes.
liked him.
Somebody told me I had on the show. He told me he passed away, and we were talking about him the same thing. And you were saying that Mr. Friedman told you about the aliens, how they poo and they
Yeah,
eat
and
and
he
they,
well, but no,
what do you
what he
think?
told me, I thought was so fascinating. He said that when these extraterrestrials land, the plate, the disc has openings. It's like a zipper on your clothes. It zips open, and
Yeah.
then you can open it up and go inside. And then when they get ready to leave to go home, they close it up and they zipper. And where they zipper, it closes the saucer shape. It closes the flying saucer up in the zipper. And when it closes it up, it's hermetically sealed electrically. Sealed. So you can't even if you rub it, you don't even know where they opened up, where it was opened at all, because it's electrically sealed up. so you don't even see the cut. You don't see where it was open. But they can open it up like a zipper and open it up and go in and come out. But if they go out and they go back in, they're leaving, then it seals it up from the inside like a zipper, and it's sealed for good. No air, no water, no nothing. It's electrically sealed hermetically.
But
It's hermetically sealed.
that's the disc. But themselves, they have to wee
Yeah, I
or
know,
go
I
to the
know.
toilet or something, unless they have no like sexual organs or physiological needs or what do you do?
I know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I think they probably live a lot like us. That's what
Yeah,
my
because
feeling
I
is.
mean I know the question sounds stupid, but it's like a
No,
basic.
it's not stupid. That's a very intelligent question.
Yeah.
How do they live from one day to the next? Do they have to eat like we do?
Hmm.
Do they have sexual desires like we do? Do they have to urinate like we do? Do they have the same kind of bodies? Can they eat the food that we eat?
Mhm. Because
How?
I have a couple of testimonies from even from a farmer. This was from 1950s that some spaceship landed on his farm, and then suddenly the two guys in the spaceship asked him for bread, you know, and water to drink, and he gave him like some bread and water, some corn bread, you know, in the Midwest or something.
Incredible.
Yeah. So I think this book is by I don't remember. It's Humanoids or something. It's by the French guy and somebody else. I don't remember
Yeah,
now the
yeah.
book.
What was
Jacques
his
Vallée,
name?
Jacques Vallée or something.
Jacques
Yeah.
Vallée. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
But
has a
but
lot.
Stanton Friedman said something else that was interesting. He said that this one saucer he saw, it looked like to be about 25 to 30 feet across,
Mhm.
25 to 30 feet across. But when they opened the hatch up, and he said, you stick your head inside, it's bigger than 2 football fields. It's enormous inside.
Wow.
You could have tanks and elephants and all kinds of life form in there. It's
So
huge,
so
enormous.
so at first sight it looks very small, but then when you get in or you see inside the
Then when
saucer,
you see inside, it's
it's a
bigger
lot of.
than 2 football fields together.
So that means they manipulate the physics, the
Time,
matter and
space,
time. So
physics, something
yeah.
somehow or
So
another, they can make it look small on the outside, but on the
yeah.
inside, it's absolutely huge. It's like the Rose Bowl, 2 or 3 Rose Bowls together.
So you can fit a lot of people there or whatever.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, tens of thousands of people inside,
Hmm.
and so
That would be a nice plan to just put some people there and just hey, take these people off
yeah,
Earth, man.
go down through L.A. and all the homeless, pick up all the homeless and put them on a UFO and send them to Mars or wherever.
Yes, and do some good because we don't have money for all of them here, man.
Yeah,
So
and you feed them. We don't have the food. We don't have it.
because
And the communists want to send us all the poor people who are broke and are starving, and they want to send us so we can feed them. We don't have the food or the money to take care of ourselves, much less the millions
yeah,
and
because
millions of people
yeah,
coming
yeah.
into this country illegally.
I know because these aliens basically. I mean, this is again basic question. I mean, do they have pensions? Do they have health care? If they get sick, suddenly they pull out something and they just heal themselves. I mean, what the hell do they do? I mean, because you're traveling, for example, when you travel to a mountain or you go to a river or you're trekking or doing all this stuff. If you get cut, you need some like first aid or something, and if you don't have anyone around, you're fucked if you cut yourself and you have to like
That's
you can
right.
get you can get the wound infected or something. I mean, they have to, you see, they have to have a lot of organization and plan ahead of this and a lot of technology to, I'm in a strange world,
Can you
an
imagine what
animal.
kind of technology they have to come from thousands of light years away? From light years away, they have to come all this way. And then when
Mhm.
they get here, they got to know how to communicate with us and how to control us and speak the language, and they know how we think,
Right, 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 right.
and they know
Because
what to do
there's another
to
interesting thing. I heard you many years ago. You were giving a conference, and I went and see the conference, and you were talking about some clones, some people like some doppelganger thing that they suddenly showed up at some hotel in California, and the manager, behind the reception said, "Who are you?" or something like that, and then suddenly another clone appeared and said, "Who is who?" and get out of here or
You know
something. Do you
what?
remember
I
this?
seem to remember that. I don't recall that particular story, but I do recall hearing those stories from other people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
This doppelganger thing that suddenly one of the twins appears, asks for a room, and then suddenly he goes away, and the other one that's like him appears, and then the manager gets a bit confused or something. Do you know this
yeah,
story?
I remember that, but I can't remember. I don't remember it exactly. That was a long time ago, and I remember something about that story, but I don't remember enough to repeat it today.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Don't worry, don't worry.
That
But
was a
but there's some
long time
strange.
ago.
But there's some strange things like this. I mean, where did the people come from? Are they aliens, or is something with humans? Like you can teleport yourself, like in that movie, Jumpers or something. Or
Yep, I know.
how
I
does it
know.
work? I mean, suddenly,
Close encounters of the third kind.
wow, that's
Remember
incredible.
Spielberg?
Yeah,
Spielberg?
yeah, yeah. They all attracted by the mountain, for some
Yep.
reason. Many
And
different people.
I think I know why too, because of Mount Zion. And that's another subject about the
Whoa.
extraterrestrials in the Middle East, and Mount Zion and Mount Heron and some of those holy mountains, Mount Fuji in Japan and Mount Olympus in Greece. And the
Mm-hmm.
extraterrestrials love to live on the mountains. They like to live up high above us. So they're up on the
Mm-hmm.
top of the mountains. That's why all the great temples were up on the top of the mountains,
Yeah, yeah,
way
like
up
the.
there to go up the very, very top. And there's all these ancient temples. Why? Because that's where the extraterrestrials love to be, because they know humans can't go up there. Humans don't have the ability to go up and without the oxygen and go up that high and live. And the extraterrestrials know that, so that's why they don't have to be bothered with us. We're not going to go up there. We can't even breathe at that altitude. Trees don't even grow at that altitude, so that's why the extraterrestrials like to live at the top of the mountains, way up there. They put their temples in their
Well,
holy places where they live.
There's another very very interesting thing that you were always talking about the Atlantis thing. The Atlantis,
Yeah,
this
Atlantis.
high tech civilization.
I think that Atlantis actually existed,
Hmm.
and it was in Atlantic Ocean. It was in the Atlantic Ocean,
Hmm.
and I am sure that Atlantis existed. And today, right now, today in the Bermuda Triangle, in a place that's 10 miles north of the island of Bimini. You find
Hmm.
Bimini on the map and then go north 10 miles, and you're in an area they call the Bahama Banks. And in the Bahama Banks, 10 miles north of Bimini in the Atlantic, is a huge pyramid. It's an enormous pyramid sitting on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean in the Bahama Banks. And you gotta wonder, how did they build a huge pyramid, the same one, same size as in Egypt, but it's on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. It's on the floor of the Atlantic in the Bahama Banks.
And do you think, Jordan, this could have been like a very high tech civilization and kind of
I
coming
think
from?
obviously, we can't build a pyramid on the Atlantic Ocean floor. And we know that this pyramid is still active because it's sucking in, the current is sucking into an eye at the top of the pyramid. There's a big eye, and the water is being sucked into that eye, and then a few minutes later it's coming out the bottom. So that pyramid on the Atlantic Ocean floor is sucking in water at the top and blowing it out at the bottom. So there's something going on
Some
inside
activity
of there.
there. Some activity there. Huh?
Some kind of a dynamo, some kind of a big operation going inside that pyramid that's sucking water in at the top and blowing it out at the bottom.
Because there's some stories about some high civilization coming here from somewhere, seeing some of the tribes and perhaps mingling with the tribes, getting here and getting a bit confused. Obviously, they didn't have GPS, devices at the time or whatever, and,
Yeah.
and then suddenly building all this civilization and trying to make slaves around. I mean, kind of like that movie. What is that? Stargate Atlantis or whatever.
Yeah, Stargate. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there are a lot of things going on also in the United States. In the United States, you have a lot of these circles, these stone circles. You have a lot of the pyramids too. Ignatius Donnelly used to talk about these. You can find a lot of different ancient texts.
No doubt about it. You're right. And the Native Americans today still talk about the American Indians, still talk about the old ancient gods who came here. They call them the Star People, who came here and taught the Native Americans how to do things, how to plant food, how to hunt, how to build their homes, how to do this, how to do that. And the Native Americans in America talk about the Star Brothers, the brothers from the stars.
But they didn't give him any phasers, like in Star Trek. I mean, if you come from a high tech civilization and it happens to be that white people, Caucasian people, always advance, and develop, high skills and high tech, and
Yep.
going to South America, why did the South Americans have only bows and arrows instead of having some phasers to to
Well, I
face
think they probably did have the high tech weaponry. I think the Central and South Americans did have high tech
but they lost it, right?
weaponry, because we see it in their mythology. They talk about the great bombs that they used and the great high tech stuff that they used in Aztecs and the Mayas and the Incas and the Toltecs and the ancient people of Mexico, and the great wars they had. So there was a lot of high tech wars going on in Central and South America. Yeah, very interesting.
Because Klaus Donner has some artifacts and stuff in Austria that I think you've seen. And
Klaus Donner is the most phenomenal man I have ever met. I spent almost 2 weeks with him in Switzerland, and I think it was Zurich, Switzerland. I was in Zurich for 2 weeks. I was actually there for 2.5 months, but he was there for 2 weeks, and he and I were at the same hotel, and we hung out together for a couple of weeks. And he was the most interesting man I ever run into. It was Klaus Donner. Fascinating stuff. He found all these strange artifacts all around the world. And he goes all over the world, strange, and picking up and finding all these artifacts and photographing them. And it's the craziest and strangest stuff you'll ever see in your life. And look at that pyramid on the left in the red picture with the red pyramid. Look at that pyramid. It's identical. It's identical to the ones on the back of the dollar bill. It has 13 layers of stone, 13 layers of stone, just like on the United States dollar bill. There are 13 layers. And then there's the triangle at the top of the eye, like the dollar bill. And he said he found that in Ecuador. I think he said one of those South American countries in Ecuador.
Yeah.
Peru or one of those South American countries is where he found that pyramid.
And even some like this disc that has
Oh
like
yeah,
a sperm. It has a sperm. It has some strange tools like pregnant or the pregnancy stages or something here.
oh yeah, I know. All these strange things that he has found in the world, and listening to him, he is absolutely brilliant.
And you
And
need
I
a
use
you need I
my,
mean you need a microscope to see these. So they
I know that, I know,
you
and
know.
but he was talking about that kind of metal that thing is made out of is not easy to deal with. It's so hard.
Mhm.
That metal is so hard that you cannot scrape it, you cannot bend it, and to know how they made those and and configurations on that plate, how they did it.
Mhm.
He said, there's no way to know how they did that because the metal is so hard,
Mhm.
and the
Even
techno.
he's got some cups here that I've seen before, and they have some kind of luminosity when you reflect the light or like
Yep,
you.
yep. When you turn off the light, they glow.
Yeah, and they show some of the constellations or something, and this is difficult for like prehistoric men to achieve, I mean,
That's right. That's exactly right.
literally impossible, and obviously you have, well, the typical von den Eycken, what was his name, Eric von den Eycken plane. He
Yeah,
was famous.
Eric von Daniken. Yeah.
Yeah, von Daniken, right. The Eric von Daniken plane, it doesn't look like a bird. It's
No,
perfectly aerodynamic.
that's right. And they made it so it flies. It flies also.
Yeah. They actually made a replica or something for some shows,
And I
and,
watched it. I saw that. And,
and
and, they,
it
and
was
they
unbelievable.
actually flew the thing. The thing actually flew.
Yeah, because end of the day, you have to have a lot of money to travel around and gather all this stuff. You can't be
That's
poor.
right. That's right.
You can't be poor. And Jordan, just lastly, because I want to be wrapping up the show. I mean, it's been incredible today. I mean, I really appreciate, man, you held it up there for so long. With our friend here, I'm gonna show you. We got our friend here, and you probably have a few stories about this. This is my Pancho Bigfoot, Giorgio Pancho. Giorgio Pancho. And I hear you talking about like some Bigfoot actually jumping on a electric power grid or something and scaring some people in the power station
Oh
plant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my friend in San Diego. That
He's
was
got a lot of stories, the San Diego guys.
yeah, yeah. My friend in San Diego that I told you about before.
Hmm.
He was telling me that one of his experiences that he had was when he got out of college, he majored in communication, electronic communication, television, and radio. And he said, so when he got out of college, he got a job at a television station in Massachusetts. And his job was to be up on the mountain. He'd go way up on the top of a mountain in Massachusetts. And it was a relay station. And he said, and it was a station which the city he lived in was sending up a signal into the mountain, and that station would pick up the signal and rebroadcast it over the mountain to the other side of the mountain.
Hmm.
And because the people on the other side of the mountain couldn't hear or see the television unless they got a signal. And so he worked up on the top of the mountain to pick up the signal, turn it around, and rebroadcast it over the other side of the mountain. So he said his job was the way it worked is that it was like a fireman's job. He would go up for like 4 days to be there for 4 days and 4 nights, and then somebody else would come up to relieve him, and they would stay 4 days and 4 nights, and then he would go home. Then he could turn around the next week and go back up there for 4 days and relieve the other guy so he could go home. And he said, so it was always like 4 or 5 days up there. Once you go up, you're going to be going up there for the whole week. And he said, and his job was to walk around and make sure all the equipment was working. In case anything happened to the equipment, he fixed it immediately. so that he could take the signal from the town he lived in and rebroadcast it on the other side of the mountain in a relay station. And he said that's what he was doing when he got out of college. And he says, and one day he said there was a large fence around the radio station, around the station. They had cleared off, it was all cleared off, and they put a big fence around the station. And he said then his job was to every hour on the hour is go through the station to make sure all the equipment is working. And if it's not working, fix it. And he said, so that was his job. And he said that one day he was walking around, checked all the equipment, and he said then once the equipment was checked, I would go lay down in the back. I had a little cot, and I'd go lie down and rest for an hour or two. And he said then I was laying down on the cot by the back door. And the back door was a big sturdy steel security door that had the glass in the door, which had the steel brackets inside the glass. It was one of those big high-tech security doors. Mm-hmm. And he said, I was laying there on the bed resting, and I had my eyes closed. He said, I opened my eyes and I saw animals standing there looking at all the equipment. He said it was like a Bigfoot. It was like Bigfoot. And he said, but it was very hairy. It looked like a dog, but it also looked human. It looked like a dog, but it had a human face, a cross between a human and a dog. And he said it was covered with red hair, but it was skinny. It wasn't heavy. It was kind of a thinly built dog male animal that looked like a human, but it was covered with red hair. And he said, and I looked at it, and he was looking at all my equipment, all the lights on the equipment. And he was looking in, and he said, I was shocked to see him standing there looking in. And he said, I was right there under him. He's looking at all the equipment. I'm laying here on the cot looking at him. And he said, and when he finally looked down, he looked all around, he looked down, and then he saw me, and he jumped back when he saw me.
He looked like Godsmacked, huh?
Yeah. He said it scared him. I scared him when he saw me. And he said, I used that instantly. I used that. The fact that he was scared when he saw me, I used that to protect myself. I jumped up at him. I jumped up at him like I was going to get him. And it scared him, and he jumped back. He said, I wanted to scare him so he'll get the hell out of here and leave me alone. He said, so when I jumped at him, it scared him, and he jumped around and turned around, and he said, I watched him as he ran across the yard. He ran like a gazelle, like an animal. He one shot, and then he would sail, and then bounce on the next foot, and then bounce on the next foot. And like 2 or 3 bounces, and he was bouncing, and then he bounced over the fence and gone back into the forest. And he said, I shall never forget how frightened I was that afternoon, seeing that hairy creature standing on 2 legs, on 2 feet, with covered with reddish hair, like a dog. But looked like a human and a dog's face. And he says, so when I hear about Bigfoot, I'm telling you, I saw one. It was I was there in Massachusetts, up there on top of the mountain, and one came up to my back door, and I saw him. So he says, so I know that these creatures you call Bigfoot, I know that they really do exist. I saw one at my back door.
They're around, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you know the 405, the freeway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was driving there. I was driving. This was nighttime. I think it was summertime. Many years ago. I'm talking about 94, 95. I think I was going to Santa Monica College.
Yeah.
And I was driving. I was driving with a friend. I never taken any drugs in my life. I do. I used to smoke cigarettes. I do smoke cigarettes, actually. Well, I didn't want to say it, but anyways, and I don't drink at all. I don't drink booze. So I was driving down the freeway, the 405, going towards Northridge, actually, from Santa Monica College back to Northridge at night to stay there. I remember north of the street, I had a girlfriend there, and suddenly something jumped, over the freeway.
Over the freeway.
Yeah, like you're telling me now, very fast. And I first thought, well, a bear. Well, it's possible in California, but a bear is not that small, and it's not that
He's not that agile. Bears are not that agile. No.
It moved like I not. I mean, at the time I described it like Carl Lewis, but it's not Carl Lewis because he moves more gracile. It's like it's difficult to describe because you've never seen. Not even monkeys move like that. Monkeys are a bit more clumsy.
That's
So
right.
it's moving like a human, but like a superhuman, and then it's just moving very fast. And I didn't wind down my window, so I couldn't smell anything. But it was fast. It was like the 7 lanes in less than 3 seconds, man. It was like jump, 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 and that it was gone. And I was like with my friend, and it's like, have you seen that? And he goes like, well, it was not a dog, was it? And then we just started laughing, and then drove back. We didn't say anything. We just got a bit like got smacked or something, and that was it. But it was just a question of seconds there. That actually flashed past in the distance. It was not near the car, but it was like boom, 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 and it said, "What the fuck?"
That's very, very interesting because that particular area is known for strange creatures. I've had people tell me about things that they have seen in that particular area, like off of Nordhoff, where 405 in Nordhoff. I have a lady friend that lives off of Nordhoff. I stay with her when I go back to LA. But there's so many different stories about different creatures, strange creatures that have been seen in that area. And here you're talking about one. And I know I've heard a lot of strange creatures.
Yeah, this was really strange. It was like, I mean, suddenly you think it's a bear, a dog, but then it's just like jumping on 2 legs, but it's like a big kind of like footage, because it's not like a dog or a bear. I mean, a bear doesn't move that fast. Any other animal that is like a 4-leg animal doesn't move that fast either.
That fast. No, they're not going to.
It's quite big, but it's not like muscly like a bear. It's like where you describing this incident in up in Massachusetts or whatever. Yeah. So it just kind of like clicked there, and I always thought, well, it might have been like a small Bigfoot because I don't think it was bigger than 6-7 feet. I don't think it actually reached 6 something, but it was quite fast. It was fast, like faster than a man. And it looked like that. It was actually a shame that I didn't have the window down, so I could, because normally you could smell them or something, even if it's a wolf or something.
Yeah.
But it was fast, and my friend was like, "Wow, what is that?" It's like boom, 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 and I did notice at the time that he has some bright eyes. It was not red, or it was not. It's like when you see a human or a cat from far. And you can see the eyes, but it was not,
of course, yeah.
It was not a special like like devil's eyes or anything. It was just simply like eyes in the night or something. They were a bit glowing, but not that like a scary thing, And that was more or less the incident. And I did hear that you have some encounter also with probably like a dinosaur or something. Or Bigfoot, yeah.
Bigfoot, I had an encounter with Bigfoot up in Washington State. I had an encounter with Bigfoot in 1960. Mm-hmm. I also had an encounter in my backyard in Florida with a reptile, with what looked to me to be like a dinosaur. It was a
All right.
small one. It was a small dinosaur walking on two legs, and I confronted that thing. That creature was in my backyard. I've seen so many things in my life. I've seen pterodactyls fly overhead over me. I've seen extraterrestrials. I've
Mhm.
seen otherworld creatures in my yard. I
But,
have had
but the flying dinosaurs, you saw them in Los Angeles, in California, because
no, no, in Florida, in
in
my
Florida.
backyard in Florida.
But
Uh,
the flying dinosaurs,
oh yeah, yeah, the flying one, the pterodactyl,
yeah.
the big pterodactyls, the big ones. They look like about the size of a 747. They were
Wow.
huge, and that was in Los Angeles. I saw that back in I would say 1970s, something
Mhm.
about 1970s. I saw the flying pterodactyls fly over Los Angeles, and I was up on the mountains about 7 o'clock in the morning up in Griffith Park, and I was the only
Griffith
one
Park.
there. I was the only one there. I got there when it first opened, and there was nobody there but me. And I was by myself, and I saw this pterodactyl fly right over my head, and he flew out towards Santa Monica. And there were other pterodactyls out there that he met, and they all flew out into the Pacific, and then they were gone. And I saw this pterodactyl when he flew over my head, and
And
there's no
where do
doubt.
you think, where do you, Jordan, think they come from? Are they an experiment, or they survive, or what?
No, I think it was. I think it was what is called a. What do they call it when you have two different
Timelines.
lives?
Timelines.
What is it?
Two different timelines, so they get together, dimensions or something.
Yeah, dimensions. That's the word I was looking for. There are different dimensions,
Mhm.
and they are existing simultaneously.
Mhm.
Of that, there's no doubt in my mind. I've heard too much. I've seen too much. I've had too many examples of it. I've seen it myself. So I know there are different dimensions. And those different dimensions means there's different realities
Mhm.
happening at the same time in your world where you are right now. You got your world that you live in, and that's your dimension that you're living in. But there's also other dimensions that are there with you, and they have their own life forms, but you don't see them, and they
Mhm.
don't see you. But if you cross over, if somehow or another your spirit is able to cross over into that dimension, you will see people right there in front of you, right where you are. And you will see them doing things, and they will see you and you will see them, but they are there just as well as you are. But they're in a different dimension, and you're in this one, and you're seeing this, and they're in their dimension, they're seeing that. And then if you cross over, you'll see them, and they'll see you. And they were
Mhm.
right there in front of you. You didn't even see them.
Mhm. Because it's funny what you mentioned. There's a series from the UK. I watched a few years back. It's called Primeval, and is this like secret like MI6 team that goes after dinosaurs that suddenly appear from another dimension, and they have to close this
Yep.
dimensional gap or
Hmm.
something. I don't know if you heard about this movie. I'm gonna put it up here if it shows up here. I don't know if it's showing up here. See, this is the movie. Well, the guys, and they go around the whole world, trying to close these gaps, these whatever black hole dimensional thing, and they have these
Yep.
special weapons you see right there. You see right there. And and and,
Yeah.
and it's like reptiles suddenly showing up in a swimming pool, or I don't know, in the Thames River, or suddenly in a brontosaurus in the middle of like Californian beach or something.
Oh, I
So
think that's sensational. I'd love to watch that myself.
yeah, this is called Primeval, and it's a British TV show, and it's been
Maybe
running
if
for.
you could you get the link and send me the link so I can go find it myself. I want to watch that.
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to you. It's like these young guys, and they go around. Some in some countries, it's called Jurassic Invasion. Jurassic Invasion. I'm checking it now in Portuguese and Spanish, and it says Invasión Jurásica.
Yeah,
When,
yeah.
when strange anomalies start to appear all over England, Professor Cutter and his team must track down and capture all sorts of dangerous prehistoric creatures
Isn't it
from
interesting that
the past.
Spielberg has Jurassic Park?
Yeah, but Jurassic Park is more like making the dinosaurs from scratch.
Yeah, yeah.
This is actually, something that you actually,
See, it's actually alive with you at the same time, and you
yeah,
get to
something
see it.
like you're retelling
Yeah,
somebody in Great Britain must picked up on this thing, somebody
yep.
telling a story or whatever, and they actually have made a series about this that is from 2007 to 2011. So it was running for 4 seasons, so
Wow.
yeah. So it must have been quite successful in England. I remember when I was in London, I was watching this show sometimes. I mean, it didn't actually match the
Well,
time. But when I
yeah,
first saw it, I was like, wow, this is a new idea. And now you're retelling me this story about you seeing the flying
yeah.
dinosaurs and the backyard dinosaur. Because how did it look like the dinosaur in your backyard? I mean, suddenly appear there, or it was brought by somebody, or how did it happen?
Well, my city where I was born and raised is Pensacola, Florida, and it's a very big seaport city for South and Central America and for the Caribbean. Big ships from South America come into the Caribbean, and then they come into America, and they come into my city. And there's a big seaport there. And so we get a lot of the big ships bringing foods, banana boats, and all the different foods from South America. And so I know that when they're collecting those big groups of bananas up. They just group them up big and pick them up and put them on board. Well, there could be some lizards and whatever giant creatures that's a part of that jungle area. When they pick them up, they pick it up and put it on board ship. They just put a dinosaur on board ship. They
Oh,
just put
really?
a snake, big animals, creatures from the swamps in South America. And so I'm sure that's how that one got to my hometown, was on board those big ships that coming from South America all the time. They used to come all the time from South America, and they were
Uh-huh.
called banana boats because they were filled with bananas and other fruits that they had picked in Brazil and picked in the northern part of South America, and then put them on ships, and the ships come up to my hometown and bring them into America. And
So you
so,
so you think that there is like some kind of like natural space, perhaps in South America, in the jungles, or in Africa, where these things, or in Asia, they could live,
yes,
huh?
yes, there's no doubt in my mind about it. There's absolutely no doubt. That's exactly right.
Hmm.
Because I have seen people's videos of their vacations, people who go on vacation to South America, to Brazil on a vacation, and it's on the web that you can see they're on vacation with their cameras, video cameras, and then you see a pterodactyl or a Tyrannosaurus Rex, uh,
Wow.
a baby one, walk across the strip, and they're videotaping us walking across the road in the jungle of South America, and I've seen too many of those, way too many of those kind of videos taken by tourists going to South America, and happen by chance to see something look like a dinosaur walking across the street, walking across the highway in the jungle. So there's no doubt in my mind that those kind of creatures are still alive in South America.
So that
And
that,
they,
that 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 brings down a little bit the theory about dinosaurs even being carnivorous and stuff. Maybe they're like vegetarian or something, and some of them they're scavengers. I mean, there's now a theory about the T Rex that was actually carnivorous, but he was not a hunter because he had very small arms, so he didn't have enough like resources
he
or
wasn't
whatever.
designed for it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, probably it was like not after other animals like they portray in movies.
Yeah.
Perhaps it was like something like eating from the floor, whatever that is left over.
Yeah.
More like that. The raptors is different because the raptors they run fast and they can catch you and they can actually they have claws and stuff like the lion. But other creatures like bigger creatures they don't seem to actually have the hunting ability, the skill like
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like they weren't designed to be able to be skilled hunters.
yeah, and do you think because even there's a theory of the dinosaurs that they die out because of a bacteria, not really the meteorite. So probably somebody could have given them a bacteria, and they could have come here from somewhere else. I mean, do you think probably the aliens put them here or something?
Yeah,
Because
I think they could have come here from somewhere else out there, but when they got here, our gravitational force field is so light
yeah,
compared to where they came from. The planets that they were on, the gravitational force was so strong where they came from, they couldn't grow to be big because it's so gravitational force field keep them small.
hmm
But if they were pets to the extraterrestrials who came here and brought them here as pets, then when they come here, our atmosphere is so light. And there's so much to eat. My God, you got forests and jungles. You got all these huge jungles in Central and South America, so that these creatures could eat all day and all night and not even scrape the surface, no matter how much they ate.
yeah,
There was
that
so
makes
much
sense.
more to eat.
Yeah, that makes sense actually, because physically speaking, we couldn't have very tall people or giants because of the atmosphere and the gravity. Nowadays
That's right.
you can
That's
be
right.
very very big. I mean, most of the animals, except perhaps for like giraffes and elephants, so they kind of like get by and stuff. They're not, and whales, at sea. But they're not other animals that they're very huge. Even humans, they don't grow beyond 6, 7 feet. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
I
and,
mean,
and like us, we humans, we have to be at a certain size where we can, we're heavy to start with. But if
mhm,
we were 8, 9 foot high, that would really be heavy and take
mhm.
everything you could do just to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why. I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense that these creatures could survive here if they're very big. Even the brontosaurus or something like they're too big for the oxygen and even the atmosphere. If it was more dense, the atmosphere, it could hold some kind of like bigger life. Even there is like theories about that we had
Oh,
an
I know
atmosphere.
there is, yeah. But also go on the web and go to YouTube.
Hmm.
And at YouTube, put in dinosaurs,
Hmm.
prehistoric creatures in South America. Put in dinosaurs. And you will see a lot of videos of people who have went to South America on vacation. The people took videos of their vacation, and they happened by chance to spot a dinosaur in the South America. It's right
Hmm.
there, and you can sit and watch it and watch the film, watch the videos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
are these dinosaurs big or they're
No,
small?
no, they're not at all. They're small
Hmm. Yeah,
because they look like babies.
yeah, that's what I'm saying because I don't
No, no,
it doesn't
no,
fit in the model of being very big and surviving. Like
no.
maybe the flying dinosaurs could be because they're not that big, but and some other small reptiles, but big animals can because like I told you, except for the elephant and a couple of them, they're very terrestrial and vegan or vegetarian or whatever. Um, But yeah, I'll look it up because now I have like a million a million videos here about Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, Jurassic World Revolution. My God, it's a big pain in the ass to.
In Africa, yeah, in Africa and in the Amazon. In the
Yeah, they.
Amazon, that talk about these big dinosaurs that are in the Amazon that the Native Americans know all about. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. They are. I mean, indeed. I mean, oh yeah. Well, they have a lot of. I mean, sometimes YouTube is just like you see. Now they show you like the main channels. YouTube is not YouTube anymore. Now it's like CNN News. The first thing
yeah, I
they show
know.
you is like CNN News. And
Yeah.
everyone, because we're gonna be wrapping up. I mean, we got 2 minutes left here, and we want to thank Jordan, and also as you see, just right behind me, right behind Uncle Donald and our Pancho Bigfoot and the Apple computers here. We have Jordan's that has been there all the time. Actually, just right
It's right
beneath
below
us.
your picture. Right
Yeah,
below your
yeah.
picture is
Jordan
my
Maxwell
website.
Show.com.
Uh huh.
There's Jordan's
That's
website.
my website. Now, when you go to my website, jordanmaxwellshow.com, when you go there on the home page, the first thing you'll see is a little link that says research website. And it's pointing, a little arrows pointing at the research website. And you go on that website and click on it and join my research website. That's where I have all the documents, the pictures, the audio, the video, all the research materials that I've been doing for years, all the research. There it is. See, it says Join Research Society. If you click on that and join that research society, you will see I have all kinds of documents and pictures and research papers and articles and other people's websites that you need to know about other people and other videos of other lectures and speeches given by people that I have saved that I had many, many years ago, and I put it up on my website so you can go and see these old lectures from many, many years ago, from 60 years ago. I had lectures that I've had put onto digital and put them on my website. So go on my website, Jordan Maxwell Show, and join my research website. And you've got all kinds of interesting stuff on there with documents and pictures
And you
showing
can make a
you,
one lifetime donation
yeah,
between
a
$20
life
to $30.
one time donation, just one time
One
for a
off. Yeah.
lifetime subscription.
It's
And there it
perfect,
is.
Jordan.
Join the new research website. You click on it, you join one time, and you're in for good. You get it. One time donation is a lifetime subscription.
And Jordan, you're getting some traffic there now, or how are things?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell. I have to go off of the web I'm on and go back to my emails and see if I'm getting any response.
Yeah. Well, everyone, please, if you're watching this video, go there to the Jordan Maxwell Show and join. Register. It's like one-off fee from $10 a one-off donation, $10 to $30. If you want to throw $50, $100, they're welcome to. The more, the better. The more, the merrier.
I live in one room, as you can see. I live in one room by myself. At 80 years old, I live in one room, and I try and educate people to what's going on in the world at 80 years old. And I live on donations, of which I don't get very many. And so, if you go on and join my research society, my research website, go on to jordanmaxwellshow.com, and then you will see a research website.
Just right here beneath
Yeah.
the screen. Now Nessie is coming, is coming in from the ocean and some spaceships because we're closing down, guys. This was the Colin River Show. Jordan, I want to thank you so much. Thanks a million here from Northern Portugal, and you there from Arizona. It's now 5 in the afternoon And
Yeah, 5:14 here, 5:15 here
whoa,
in the
5:15.
afternoon.
We're
Yep.
gonna finish right on the spot on 5.
Yep.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you.
Jordan.
And I
Big
appreciate
kiss,
it.
big
And
hugs, big
anytime
everything,
you
big love.
and anytime you want to do another show, just let me know. I'm always here.
Of course, we will. We'll
Okay.
have you on, and with Leo too. And we say hi to Leo from here also that he's
Yeah,
watching.
baby. Great.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Jordan. This is Colin
Bye-bye.
River Show. We have to go. We say bye to Jordan now from Arizona, a mystical place. And remember, make America great again, make Spain great again, make the world great again, make Portugal great again.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.
God bless America. God bless Jordan. God bless myself. God bless the Colin River Show. And that's all,
Okay.
folks. We gotta go. We
Bye-bye.
gotta go. We're going. 3, 2,